Hey everyone, I'm Charles with Speedway Motors Tech Talk, and we're here in the shop today with Frank Galusha, the General Manager of EMI, and our local microsprint expert. We're going to talk a little bit about drivetrain maintenance today and some of the important things we need to remember.
Perfect, thanks Charles. Yeah, no, I think it's extremely important that this is something we share with customers and microsprint drivers across the nation, because your drivetrain components are obviously critical to getting power to the ground, right? So anyways, once you get your drivetrain components taken apart off the car, the first thing you want to do that's probably one of the most important is check your chain for straightness. What I like to do is dangle it and look down, you know, just kind of right above. And what I'm looking for is any bent links or anything that indicates any type of damage to the chain. You don't want to put a damaged chain on your car because it could potentially risk ruining sprockets. It could break.
It could come off.
Yeah, it could come off and inflict damage on other components that are obviously important in that area.
Yeah. So you're checking for probably side-to-side bend and also if like a link isn't free.
Exactly. Make sure as you go through and you check it, you make sure all the links are free and they're not bound up anywhere. Right. But you'll kind of be able to tell if that's going to be the case, because you'll be able to see when you're inspecting your chain whether or not one of the links are bent.
All right, well, we got it checked. This one's straight, ready, good to go. Now I say we clean it.
So with the chain specifically, one of the things I like to do is put it in a small pan, and I'll just fill it up with the solvent here from the parts washer. That way, while I'm scrubbing it, it's soaking well too, to help kind of break some of that grit and grime loose.
Now what if you don't have a parts washer?
Brake cleaner, just mineral spirits, anything that can get a lot of the grime and grit off of the chain. One thing I like to use is WD-40 when I'm at the racetrack. But literally just get in here and scrub the links real well. It's really important to get that thing good and clean, so you can always go back and rinse it off a couple times. Make sure you get it good and clean. Same thing with the sprockets. Got a couple sprockets here, just go through, scrub them off, rinse them well with the solvent.
So once you get these components clean, are you going to rinse them off with water and then let them air dry? Just going to let them air dry, wipe them down?
Yeah, so typically what I do is once I get it thoroughly scrubbed and rinsed off with the solvent, I just literally pull it out and I'll just wipe it off with some towels. You could always use compressed air once you're done with that, but just make sure you wipe it good and clean once you got it scrubbed. Okay, so once we got it clean, the next step is to lubricate the chain. Right. So one of my favorite things to do is just let it soak in oil all week. This is one of the first things you should do when you unload your car. That way you get it clean, because it's important that this chain soaks in oil for a few days, right? So what I like to use is chainsaw, bar oil, something like that, and literally just fill a pan up. You can see over here I've got some other chains that have been cleaned. They're just sitting in oil. It's important that not only before you put the chain on the car it's well lubricated, but even between races you continue to lubricate your chain, because when your chain gets dry, it can get hot. When it gets hot, it can get weak. This is going to help with performance. Obviously, when everything's free, it's working better. It's easier for the engine to pull the chain. But also, longevity-wise, you know, when it gets overheated multiple times, it's more apt to break or fatigue. So,
and this is something that we're going to do weekly, week in and week out. It's not a once-a-month thing. It's
correct. I literally do this every time I race. So when I get home from a weekend of racing and unload the car into the garage, the first thing I do is take these components apart, get them cleaned up, get the chain in the oil.
So we've got them clean, we've got them in the oil. Do you just take them out of the oil, put them right on the car? Do we let them drip dry a little bit?
This could get messy once you pull it out of the oil, right? So one of the things that I recommend and then that I do every time I get ready to put the chain on the car is I hang it up and let it drip some of the excess oil off of it. So just,
and it looks like it drips just right back into the tray, that way you're not wasting any.
It can make a mess, but I try to keep it quarantined and hang it right over the pan of oil so we're not getting it everywhere all over our shop floor. But maybe let it hang for 30 minutes or so. It'll drip all the extra oil off. And then once it's done dripping, you can go ahead and put it on your race car.
Well, thank you so much for showing us a little about drivetrain maintenance today, and thank you guys so much for watching.